Yeah. Peyton, do you want to give just a quick introduction to the board?
Sure. So I'm Peyton Rashford. I've interned with the city the past 2 summers. This will be my third. And for over Christmas breaks, I interned with them. I just graduated from UNC. It was really fun. Just kind of a weird way to end college with the whole COVID-19 situation. But I'm really excited to be back full time in Belmont and everything. I've looked forward to it for a while now. So yeah, I'm excited to get ready to work and see what we can do.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thanks. Welcome.
Welcome, Peyton.
Thank you.
Hey, Jennifer, this is Shelley. Can we do a quick oral roll call of all the members, please?
Yes, certainly.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so Jennifer Fortenberry is here. Maybe, let's see, I'll try to do this in some order. Maybe I'll call names. Rob.
Hi, Rob Wheelheight.
Danielle.
Hi, everyone. Danielle is here.
Okay, Becky.
Becky, I'm here.
Okay, Becky's here. Great.
All right, Doug.
Hi, Doug is here.
Okay.
All right, and Sharon.
Yes, hi. I just dialed in. It's not working on my computer for some reason.
Okay, great. Well, I said like give audio now, so all set.
Oh, there we go. Now I can hear you on the computer.
Okay, Brooke.
I'm here.
Okay, Brooke is here.
All right, and Grace.
Hold on. It's not letting me unmute. Oh wait, it did unmute, sorry.
Yeah.
It was still showing up as red even though I clicked it a million times, but we're good.
All right. So I think I got everyone. Okay, great. Okay, so we'll start with setting the agenda. If I can get a motion.
Motion from Doug.
Okay.
Second from Rob.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed?
Aye.
Okay,
Was that
great. Yeah, slight delay. We'll go. Okay, and so next up is adoption of the minutes from our May meeting. So again, if I can get a motion.
Motion to adopt minutes from Grace.
Danielle.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right.
Aye from a little baby somewhere.
I thought I did.
That's good.
Okay. Let's see. So, Shelley, for some reason, I just lost your screen. I'm not seeing any.
I believe she might be switching between applications for screen share. Give her 1 second.
Okay, got it.
Ideas for public communication.
There we go. I see it.
Okay.
Good to go, Shelley.
All right, wonderful. So, first item on our agenda for tonight is discussing the PSAs that are needed as part of our grant for the tree ordinance. And so this was an email that Shelley sent out asking for volunteers from the board to kind of serve on a committee over the next, I believe it was 12 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, so just wanted to make sure we kind of fully understood what the need is, what we need to contribute to make sure we're meeting the grant requirements, and then hopefully kind of secure those volunteers to execute this.
Okay, and I'm going to turn this over. I'll help Peyton with the PowerPoint, but she has put this together since she is the lead on this project with your team. So if Peyton's ready to take over, just tell me when I need to forward to the next slide.
Okay. You can go ahead and go. If it works. Shelly. Okay. Yeah, so this is where it would have been helpful. I mean, I tried to do like a little questionnaire, but we might not be able to do it just because technology right now, and I'm struggling, but it's okay. So I was just going to originally ask the question, what was the original intent of the ESB board? Just based on the bylaws, because I am new and just trying to learn like why y'all were created. So like as you can see there's just like some reasons why the ESB board was created, and spoiler alert, the answer is all of the above. And I learned that it was originally created to focus on urban forestry and recycling and energy use matters. Just like help with city council or make recommendations to city council and things like that. So I just was going to put that in there as a little refresher, just so we're all kind of on the same page of like why we're here and like what our top goals are right now. Shelly? So for right now, our main goal is to just choose an education component for the tree grant, and hopefully something that's easily and we can do it easily and it can be well executed, because we do kind of have a short deadline, which is end of August, beginning of September. I'd like to have it tied up like a bow, and that's what we have to. So it kind of makes sense. So I put together some options that we can do for this, and at the end we just can decide on one. And I have 2 subcommittee members, which I'm really excited about, and as a subcommittee we'll definitely do work on that and push those out. So, Shelly? So the first one is a value of trees public service announcement for the education component. And so other cities have done this, and they've designed like tags, like would go on like a shirt or like a pillow or something, and they put them in trees with showing the value of the tree with a bunch of different components like this. And so I think like if we kind of decided or could design something specific to Belmont, that would be really cute, and it would show a lot of awareness, because we can put them in the parks all across the city. And that's another example as well, where it's like the calorie thing on the back of chips or a drink or something like that. So it's just like different things that you could do. And I think that's a really cute idea. We can get help with like a Boy Scout troop or a Girl Scout troop to help us to put them up, and just things like that. I think it's a cute idea. And like this says that, oh, hold on. Will you go back to the, yeah. So it just kind of shows like it breaks down like how we would calculate the value of trees. And there is a website where we can plug in the information of certain trees and get a true value over a certain amount of years. So it's not too difficult, I don't think, to come up with that and everything. But it's like what it says here, like carbon dioxide, stormwater, just things like that. So I think that's kind of cute. And then I kind of came up with one that we could use for Belmont. If we just, yeah, thank you. That maybe is just like an idea of something that maybe we would want to do. And the one on the right has like a QR code. So I was kind of thinking if we did that, we could link it to our website if we had a web page for like tree education or just things like that. And there's where I was talking about where online you can find the value of certain trees. And we can also link this so citizens, if they have a tree in their backyard and they want to see the value of their trees in their own homes as well, it's really easy. I just did an example off of one right outside of City Hall the other day when I was making this. So I think it's a cute idea. So our next one is the right tree, right location. It's another I guess, kind of option that we have where it's right tree, right location, and there are different components like to a web page, I would say, where it teaches people don't plant a big tree like right near your house because it's problematic, just things like that. So that's another option that we have where we could have social media pushes, a web page like this where it shows like stay clear of utilities and plan for tree size, and that's an example from Washington D.C.'s webpage as well. And that's a little guide of where you plant what in relation to your house and how things grow, because I don't think people really consider sometimes how big trees can get, or just things need to be thought of, and people don't really always think of that. So, and then this is kind of similar to that, the right tree, right location thing. It's trees and property values. I don't think people realize how trees can affect property values, both positively and negatively, mostly positively though. And so we would have social media pushes that show that, and then also like a web page with resources and things for people to look at. And then putting together tree educations in schools and libraries. I like this idea too, where we could have a group of people go to a school or libraries for homeschool children who you can teach them things about trees and where to plant them, and even maybe go outside and plant a tree somewhere just so they can have like the full experience of that. I've also seen, I was researching that and I saw that that would be a good idea too. So we have options. I don't know. That one might be a little bit more difficult just in a sense of, oh, we don't really know school-wise or everything with the COVID, who knows? So just things to think about. And I think any of these would be good, maybe supplemental ongoing education components where you can just have different social media pushes, like, and have, it's more community involved, where you could have citizens post a photo of their favorite tree, just anything that we can do to spread awareness of trees and the tree grant and just things like that. So that's some options we have for sure. And I don't think, it sounds kind of scary, I guess, putting together a social media plan, but there are other cities that have done it with guides to help and almost like have it word for word written out where you can just fill it in and things like that. So just little things. And then I was also going to do a little poll of which PSA option we like the best, but it's not really working, but it's okay. So I just figured we could talk about it and just get some direction on where to go and what y'all are thinking for the education component.
Hey, Peyton, it's Rob Wilhite. Welcome again.
Thank you.
Thanks for going through these. On number 2, I'm wondering if Duke Energy may also be putting out some type of announcements or education around planting the right tree in the right location, especially under power lines. And
right.
I've seen other utilities around the country, have these kind of campaigns themselves. I guess the question is, would there be any duplication of maybe any public service announcements that the utilities might already be doing? And I don't know if you've had time to research that or not, but, and I honestly don't know because I'm actually not served by Duke. I have another power company. So I'm just curious about that.
That's a good point. I haven't researched it personally, but I could definitely, and I kind of think personally, maybe if they do already put that out, I think we could do it, but I don't know if it would be redundant or not for us to do it as well as energy companies. But like you said, if you're not served by Duke, you don't know. So, but that is a good point. I can research it though.
I like the first option. This is Doug, by the way. I think that's fun, and I think that a lot of people have a vague idea on what the benefits of trees are and certain trees. Especially if we take this and another option that shows you, maybe the back of this card that shows like, there we go, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a combination.
That's kind of that was kind of my thought as well. just so it can break it down and give a little bit more detail on that.
Mhm. I do like the
Sure.
property value one as well. I'm just wondering if maybe that's like the QR code could tie back to the site that maybe gives more detail, and we could do some kind of like a white paper around how trees impact property value.
Definitely. And we could even have like maybe a resource section on the website page. Maybe we could link something to that as well.
We just want to take all the options and squish it into
Yeah, and this is Danielle. I agree. I like the first option, and it seems like you could add a lot of stuff to the QR code that could kind of incorporate almost everything, all of these ideas, and it all like it's totally doable within the deadline.
I think so too.
Yeah, which is important.
Yes, definitely. That's the goal here.
Yeah, this is Grace, and kind of like what Danielle said, that we could get to do all of them. Maybe if we went to the schools, assuming they're open, and kind of handed out labels. I don't know if we could have something be like, oh, take these home to your parents. Like you can see how much your tree is worth and that kind of thing. That would be good to kind of combine.
Definitely. And I think going into the schools too can be a part of the ongoing education component that we are, I guess, eventually trying to establish as well. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and you could have labels made for the trees at the schools, and then maybe have the class go out and hang them, or
oh yeah,
some sort of activity for the kids like that.
That's a good idea too. Okay, so I feel like is everyone pretty much in agreement with the tags?
I like
tag.
Yeah.
This is Brooke. I definitely think the first option helps like promote the overall idea like that this board I think tries to advance is like getting more people to care about the environment. I feel like if like I was walking around the park and I saw like, oh my gosh, this tree like is worth like $1,000 in environmental benefits, that would kind of make me care more.
Mm-hmm. Definitely so. Okay, well, great.
Very good. So Peyton, what support do you need from us over the next few weeks to execute this?
Well, we have 2 subcommittee members so far, which is, I was hoping maybe to get like another 1 or 2, but also if anybody has like friends or anybody who would want to help, honestly, that would be great. And I'm hoping to have subcommittee meetings every 2 weeks, just to try to really get this up and going as quickly as we can, so it's established and ready to roll before the end of summer. So
I'm sorry, Peyton, I missed in my notes who the 2 volunteers for the subcommittees are at this point.
Grace and Danielle.
Grace and Daniel, thank you.
Hey, and I was going to mention, I'm not sure if I have quite.
This is Becky. I would like to join that subcommittee as well.
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. Yay. Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Doug, I think you were going to add something.
You know what? I was looking. I'm like, I'm not sure if my button is muted or not. Sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I could probably round up a few people. I was gonna include Becky in those people actually, to help support that. And you know, I think, yeah, I think that I could probably get like 6 or 8 people to help tag some trees, and you know, maybe take a map shot of Belmont and then hand off different areas to different people. Just as long as we have the resources on how to make the tags and associate them with the trees that they're going to go on. Yeah, I think that we could, like, you know, with all of us together, I think we can knock this out of the park. And I think it sounds really fun.
I think so too. Okay. Yeah, I need to still just kind of figure out my end plan of action on how I'm gonna execute this and get a plan for the subcommittee. But I will work on that quickly to get it together and everything.
Let's see. Okay, this is Shelley. Can you see the agenda again, or are we wrap that up, or?
Yeah, I think unless anyone has
Okay.
any other comments, yep, I think we can jump over to the tree ordinance.
Okay, let me bring something up for that. 1 second. I have something for everything tonight. Let's see.
Multitasking.
I am. I think this is it. Hold on, let me bring it up. Okay. So I'll just introduce this, and I was going to let Rob kind of lead this. So the city received a tree grant. Actually, the end of fiscal year 2019, and it originally planned for us to update our tree ordinance and tree and landscape ordinance over a year. And with this COVID-19 and other things going on, we are behind, but we've talked with the state and we found out everybody's asking for an extension. So we are working forward in meeting our deadline for the grant for the draft tree ordinance. We hired Davy Resource Group, which is a great team. We have a steering committee made up of a diverse membership. That includes the planning board, of course, 2 members from the ESB board. We have representatives from the real estate and development community on the group. So it's just a well-rounded group. So it's a lot of diverse perspectives, which you need when you're trying to develop something as controversial as a tree ordinance. So where we are is with the timeline. Staff has received one, and I'm sorry, I didn't check. Are you guys seeing my screen?
No, we're just seeing your video.
Not yet.
No. Okay. See that you can't see my screen. Okay, 1 second. Let me see what's going on. That's why I learned to stop now, because sometimes I'll go through a whole presentation and realize they can't see my. I'm just talking. What about now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I had this beautiful picture for the entry, the introduction. So this is the calendar, the revised calendar that we're working on for the tree ordinance. So the timeline is the same timeline as, of course, the PSA education component. We need to have the draft ordinance done by September. So the city staff received one draft and we reviewed it. So we've done all these steps, and then staff received and reviewed the initial draft. We sent them our comments, then they revised it, and we just presented about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, the draft to the steering committee. So the second draft is currently under review. And this draft has some new things in it that involve the ESB board. You know, some responsibilities are called out in the draft. The plan is to let the steering committee do the review. We'll send the comments back to our consultant. They'll provide a third draft. That's when we will bring it back, and the planning board as a whole, the ESB as a whole, and city council and other stakeholders. It's sort of ready for public review. Everybody gets a chance to comment and look at it before we proceed. So we are in the second review phase right here and plan to have that wrapped up in another week and give it to the consultant. Rob, rightfully so, said that we need to talk to the ESB board about some of these new duties that are called out within the document. So I don't know, Rob, if you want to take it from here or.
Yeah, absolutely, Shelley. Can all of you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I might suggest if everyone could go on mute for a second, just to eliminate background noise. Appreciate that. So there are 4 main duties as called for in the revised draft of the tree ordinance. And really the first bullet is one that we've actually had all along anyway, is that, we would participate in the ordinance. And as we're doing that right now, both Sharon and myself are on the committee, the steering committee that Shelley just referenced, and certainly looking to continue to fulfill our duties to make sure that we're representing the ESB interests. But there again, you're all going to get a chance to see the near final draft in the next several weeks. But there are 3 new duties that really came out in the last draft revision that we ought to talk about, because we're going to have to figure out, one is, what's the process behind this? And 2, does this entail something different in the way we schedule our meetings and the cadence of our meetings, and so forth? So let me explain first what those 3 new responsibilities are, starting on the second bullet on this page. One is if there is a request made to modify the requirements of the tree ordinance as it pertains to a specific development and someone who's developing a residential, commercial, or some other piece of property, the planning director has, to his or her discretion, the ability to come to us as the Environmental Sustainability Board and ask us for opinions that would go into the decision making on behalf of the planning director. And so, this would be something that we would be able to comment on an individual case-by-case basis. So that's a modification request. Another area where we could provide opinion on is around penalties. There are numerous different types of penalties called for in the draft of the ordinance right now. But as far as non-monetary penalties, whether it's requiring additional planting of trees or additional planting requirements, or some other type of requirement in lieu of actual monetary penalties, we as the Environmental Sustainability Board could be asked, we don't have to be, but we could be asked as an option on behalf of the planning director to provide input into a case-by-case basis on penalties. And then finally, where there's a requirement for tree removal in tree-safe areas, that occur either before development or afterwards or during construction, again, the planning director would have the discretion to come to us and to make recommendations. And I think in all 3 cases, Shelley, correct me if I'm not wrong, if I am wrong, that these are non-binding recommendations on behalf of the Environmental Sustainability Board. So it really still, is that correct, Shelley?
Yes, that is correct. I did want to add that, our initial thought is some of these can get very complicated, and I would prefer to, instead of I have the discretion to send it up to the ESB board for recommendation. My notes in this draft was I would like it to be a requirement that if we're considering non-monetary penalty, that sometimes we get pushback from the development community and such, I would feel more comfortable sending it to the ESB board, a citizen board, a recommending body, to let the developers have their day in court, and then the environmental board give me a recommendation that if it's challenged, it would end up in the Board of Adjustment. But I would love to have a board such as yourself to be a good sounding board and look at it from different perspectives, and then provide a recommendation to staff. So that was going to be my recommendation to our consultant and to the steering committee. Is I don't want it to be at my discretion. I would prefer to have in these cases, the 3 cases, the ability just to count it on the board being part of the process.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for adding that, Shelley. So these 3 areas that are added as far as additional responsibilities, I think are consistent with the mission of the Environmental Sustainability Board, as Peyton referenced earlier as we commenced this meeting. And the only thing I think we need to really think through is, depending on the frequency of these requests, Shelley, do we need to handle these through a normal agenda for the regular cadence of monthly meetings that this board has? Would we need to handle these in between some of those meetings somehow through a subset or a designated committee of the ESB? Or, those are things we'll have to consider depending on frequency of these requests.
Absolutely. I don't think we will get a lot of these. They do happen occasionally. It's tough to say until we start applying the new ordinance and to see how everything flushes out. I think what happens is when you have a process such as this, where it has to go to another board and it's not just a quick administrative decision with the planning director, it helps the development community think about it and try to stay in line with the ordinance more so than if they have to go to a citizen board and take an extra time, a month or so delay. As far as fitting it in your schedule, again, it's hard to know the frequency. Usually a case like this, you could say it would be a minimum of a half hour. If something like this was going to the planning board and they were considering it, it's usually a 10-minute presentation, the information. Then it would really be deliberation by this group. By the board, and then a recommendation. So if it was very complicated, maybe it'd take longer, but it really shouldn't take that long in process.
Sure. So that's it. You'll all have a chance to see this draft ordinance, I believe, in the July-August timeframe. Let me pause there. I don't know if there's any questions from the rest of the board here. If anyone wants to comment or ask a question. Wow, we must have explained it really clearly.
Woo! We're probably just, whoa, yes. Yes.
Yeah, no, everything sounds good. I guess my question is, so that next draft that we're, I guess, planning to review as part of maybe our July or August meeting, will we get a chance to kind of review that ahead of time so we can come to that meeting and kind of go over any comments or questions we have? Shelley, you're on mute.
Let me unmute. I hit the wrong way. Okay. So the plan is that when we get the draft, we will distribute it, and then when it goes to the ESB board, we'll have our consultant online and part of the presentation to go over and answer any questions and so forth, and still give you a little time afterwards to still review and get your comments in. Did I answer your question?
Okay, sure. No, yeah, I was just, as long as we have time to digest it either before or after the meeting, I think that's.
Yes, I think we try to do, yes. Before and after, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, because our next meeting would be on July 8th, I believe. So I don't know how if that's
Yeah.
ahead of the timing of the next release or not.
Well, check.
I was actually going to add, I was actually going to see if anyone might want to push that back. I'll be on vacation that week, so depending on how it works with anyone's
as far as the
schedule.
meeting time.
Yeah, like if we
I'm not
push it.
sure it will be ready on the 8th.
Mhm.
We'll give them comments, and it will probably be very close to that time. I'm not sure we'll have it exactly on the 8th. I would say we get it back mid-July and then take 2 or 3 weeks to review. But yes, if you guys want to change your meeting, you can as well.
Okay.
Yeah. If we push to the 15th, we think it'd be higher probability that we'd be able to have them present at that meeting.
I would say yes, and if we get it earlier, I can send it to you earlier, and you guys could, start getting your comments together. So then when I have him, our consultant, at the meeting, you're able to ask him some questions or clarifications. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and having gone through the last draft, it really doesn't take a long time to read through it. It's not significantly long. It's not real wordy, and it's well laid out. Unless it's going to double in size from here, Shelley. I just don't. I don't think it would. The review process actually doesn't take that long.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I think that's
So
all
that's
we have.
Does anyone have any objections to us pushing the meeting back to the 15th?
No, I think that works. It's not like I'm going to be traveling or anything.
Okay, awesome. So that was all that we had on our agenda for this evening, unless anyone has any other items they wanted to discuss.
The only question I had for Shelley was, there was a discussion in our last one around the city garbage services contract.
Yes.
And Jennifer and I volunteered to maybe tag team to help on a steering committee. Has there any discussion on that, Shelley, that we need to have?
Am I unmuted? No. Okay.
We can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, great. So I did check with Adrian and we're good. So I told them that the board would, both Rob and Jennifer would like to tag team that position, and they said fine. A little follow up on some other discussion items. I did check, and I do have a little bit of money for an intern up in this next budget. So we'll put together, we'll have Peyton help and distribute and work with Jennifer on a job description for a intern that sort of focus more on the environmental aspect. And then we'll get that out and see if we can't get an intern maybe to even help with this campaign. If we could hire them quick enough, they could help out with that. So there was money. I do have some money for an intern. Adrian, the city manager's fine with the tag teaming representative on the RFP steering committee for the trash services. And then there was one other thing that, I believe, I just want to confirm everybody did receive the future Stowe bathroom site plan and elevation. I sent out in an email after the last meeting.
Yes.
Okay, so again, if you have any early comments on that, that you'd like us to pass along, while they're working on that, feel free to send in some comments and I can make sure it gets to the right party. And while they're looking at it and doing cost estimates, they can take in any recommendations this board may have. And we know that we will keep you informed as that project progresses, gets further along. So. And then maybe Tiffany, did you want to give a quick update on the application for the Carolina Thread Trail and maybe the status of the recreation center
Sure. So
project?
I am excited to announce that we today submitted our application for a grant for the Abbey Creek Greenway to the Carolina Thread Trail for their review. And so we are crossing our fingers that we would be awarded those funds. And sort of in a follow-up effort with that, on the next city council workshop, we will be presenting a proposal for the preliminary engineering and design of the corridor. But that would not contain the portion already being designed by the Morris at Belmont developers. So it would just be for the city's remaining portion that combined would complete that build out of the corridor, which would be 1.2 miles of 10-foot wide paved asphalt multi-use path leading from Park and Brewer Street on the west side all the way to Kevin Lofton Park on the east. And so we are excited about that project moving forward and hopeful that we get the grant to help offset some of those design costs. So that's where we are with that. I do think that we will find out something hopefully quickly, probably by July. So we can update you guys as soon as we hear something on that. The nice part of that greenway that we included in with that grant is that there would be some cleanup efforts with trash and debris that's been accumulated along that corridor, which would help with stormwater runoff and any possible pollution into the Catawba River. And we also suggested that we could work with the ESB later on some public education and outreach to talk about tree canopy and the importance of protecting our natural environment. So we are excited to have just sort of laid the groundwork for that opportunity, so we can talk later about what that might look like and how we might be able to use that in the future for some outreach efforts. But that got submitted today. And if you have a specific interest in that project, let me know and I can provide some more detail for you. And then the Belmont Rec Center project is fastly continuing along on its journey for design. They are finalizing the program elements after doing some public outreach to determine exactly what we wanted to see included in that building. And so one of the things that I'm working on communicating with the architect now and brainstorming is the building materiality and how we can make sure that the design of that, wherever possible, can take into account some environmental factors, which budget-wise may not be able to be the priority, but we do want to make sure that as the city, we are including some responsible design as part of that effort for the recreation center. And then, of course, linking it to the Greenway and our public education and outreach efforts of protection of our natural environment. So I think that the design team is on top of it and they will continue to trudge ahead. But if you have any questions about where that stands as it moves forward, please reach out to me. And if you have any thoughts or ideas you want me to share with the team, I am happy to hear those as well.
So are you at a point where you have any kind of design drawings or schematics to share on that project?
We have not received them yet. I believe their plan is to submit them around July to Shelley and the team and myself. So when we get them, I'm happy to share those. But we've heard from you guys that you guys are on board with trying to incorporate some of those environmental sustainability efforts. So before they even produce them, we're trying to enter that into the conversation for them so that we can hopefully bring back to you those designs with some highlights of what they've been able to incorporate.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if any conversations around LEED have come up I would say even, if we're not looking at full certification, even just looking at using that as a tool to kind of guide design features.
I agree.
Okay. Great. Well, and any other comments or questions, Tiffany?
That's all I had, unless you guys have any questions for me about either one of those projects. Just as a reminder, the next grant that we'll be working on is our pedestrian plan grant. It's due at the end of the month. So while that's not directly related to environmental sustainability, our hope is that people will always continue to be more active and get out in the natural environment, so that projects like your PSAs for the tree tags will be more visible and be seen by our residents.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, thank you. Thanks for the update.
Yep, absolutely.
In that spirit, I propose we have our next meeting outdoors in Stowe Park.
Well, Rob, that's what I was just going to bring up, actually. Yeah, so I had a chance to catch up with Peyton earlier today, and we were just talking about how it might be good timing to even look at maybe not using the July meeting, if that's when we'll have the tree ordinance presentation, but potentially maybe our August meeting do more of like a board retreat almost. So we can still use our regularly scheduled board meeting, but start shifting the conversation to some of those maybe slightly longer term strategic plan items that we've talked about in the past. So I think it'd be great if we can do that in person. I think if by that point we feel like we can, I think there's options around using the tech workspace where we can spread out, or weather pending, we could hold it outside as well. So, and if people are comfortable, I'd say even the July meeting, we could probably have it, I'd say optional in person or dial in for anyone who wants to attend. So.
I was going to say, if we were outside, I don't know if Stowe Park allows for this, but they built a very nice awning. And so rain or shine, we could meet underneath that large ceiling that they built. I don't know if that's possible, but it looked very nice, and I wouldn't mind bringing a kind of like a sidewalk or beach chair to it. It would be fun to see you guys in person.
Yeah, agreed. I think
Yeah, it would be good.
Definitely something we can talk with Zip about if you guys have an interest in that, to see. I believe all the construction is complete on that element, so it's definitely safe. But I want to make sure he's okay with others in the public seeing us use it for that purpose before we do. But we can certainly reach out. I know that he's eager to have people utilizing the parks again from his side.
Yeah, and then I think as long as we can coordinate how we can record the meeting, that should be fine. Hopefully noise in an outdoor space wouldn't be an issue, but.
Well, and the other aspect too, and Shelley, I believe we have to allow for the possibility that the citizens of Belmont could attend that meeting. So we'd have to think about the possibility that we may actually have some people showing interest in attending our meeting in person too. So
That's true. That's true. They're all public meetings, and again, we do have TechWorks, and we are starting actually this month. We have we're going to try our first in-person meeting with our Board of Adjustment tomorrow evening. So that will be our first meeting. Then I think the council's going to try TechWorks for their meeting on Monday. It's a workshop, which there might be more people in attendance. So we're testing it out. We just, we have masks and other things to try to make sure everybody feels comfortable. And the idea of it in the park sounds fantastic, but we would need to be able to record it. And of course, other people can sit in. All of our meetings are public, so anyone can come at any time. And we are trying to record all of our public meetings now, whether we're following some guidelines from the pandemic or not. We're going to continue to use our YouTube station to record meetings. So if the general public wants to check in on a meeting that happened last week or a meeting last month, they can bring it up and look at it.
Shelley, is there any planned date for the reopening of City Hall at this point, or is that still undecided?
That's still undecided. Our direction is if people want to meet in public, and I'm talking about our planning department, and we've had a lot of cases back up, so we need to have this in-person Board of Adjustment meeting. Everything's been on hold. I've been having meetings with members of the public, but it's by appointment only. But just as far as the doors wide open, we haven't received direction yet.
Okay.
Okay. So maybe we tentatively plan on having our next meeting in person, and that would be kind of to be determined if that'll be outdoors or at TechWorks.
Mm-hmm.
And we could maintain the option to dial in.
Okay, so yes, that sounds great. Just based on law, if someone does either we all try to meet in person, or if somebody wants to dial in, we need to have technology there. Just because if one of the board members dials in, say, I don't feel, or I'm not on the board, but a board member doesn't feel comfortable and prefers to dial in, it has to be recorded for the general public to see, and so forth. So what we'll do is I'll go ahead and put the 15th on the calendar for TechWorks. Just I'm kind of thinking about our consultant. He may be presenting virtually, so we may need that technology. So it may not be the meeting for the park. That could be the August meeting, and really enjoy the freedom. But I will reserve go ahead and reserve the TechWorks building. They have a really nice facility.
And I will add too, as a plug, that Primal Brewery next door is open with outdoor seating. So it's I am not dictating the actions pre-meeting, but I will say that they just have a nice outdoor gathering space out there for a soda or whatever you need.
Nice plug. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's great that they're open again, or that something has opened up in that space. That's good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So any other last topics?
Yes, I actually have something to add. I wasn't sure if this needed to be on the agenda or something and how that works, but I've been doing some research and I found a company that recycles tennis balls, and so I thought that could be something good to get the bins for that, since we just redid Davis Park. So this one that I was looking at, they actually just changed it to where like there will be a cost involved at some point. But so when you apply, you have to have a minimum of 4 courts, which we have at Davis Park, and they will give you like 10 bins with the shipping paid for to send to them that they say should be enough for 2,000 tennis balls. And then past that, you would have to pay either $200 for another 10 pack, or you can pay $600 a year for unlimited, which is like donating to them. So they say it's tax deductible, but I'm assuming if it's like the government paying, there's not really taxes to do that. But I thought that could be something to look into, because we could just get the free ones at first and kind of see how everyone, like, if they actually recycle it or not, because I know tennis balls, like I play, so that's something that they kind of go flat pretty easily and you just dump them in the trash. So that could be good for our new courts there. If there, and I can send the link to someone, or if that works, it's just recycleballs.org. They're actually partnered with Wilson doing this, so which is like the big tennis brand.
Well, Grace, send that information to Peyton.
Okay.
Send it to Peyton, and then she can get up with Zip Stowe of our Park and Rec Department, and we can sit down and talk about it and review the program.
Okay.
Sounds exciting.
Awesome. Thanks, Grace.
I was going to add, Jen, I sent you a job description or a couple of job descriptions that I got kind of just in time for this meeting from our, it would be nice to have partners in every town to see what they're doing for their environmental group. But, we're creating a relationship with Cary, North Carolina. So it's her name's Sarah over there. She sent me job descriptions for a couple of jobs for environmental positions. So yeah, we'll take a look at that. I sent it to you already. Feel free to share it with the team, and we'll pick things that are applicable to us and, take any ideas from it.
Yeah, I'd say if anything, there may be things we can use for the intern
Right.
description.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay. Perfect. Thanks, Doug.
Mhm.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. No other comments, then I believe we can go ahead and adjourn. And look forward to hopefully seeing everyone or almost everyone on July 15th.
All right. Well, enjoy your vacation.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Have a good evening.
Bye,
Yeah.
everyone.
All right. Take care,
Good
everyone.
night.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay safe.
Night.